Go.
Good evening. This is Shareen from the 4E Podcast. We are coming live on Facebook, and tonight we also have
BC in the place to be.
Hey BC, we're just coming on tonight, guys. We're just going to give you a little bit of our history. So we started our podcast. This is our 4th episode, and you can go to our website, which is bcproductionseee.com. So our first episode we did is like an introductory between Brian and I, and we just talk about what we've done so far, what this podcast is all about. The second episode is formulation of a business, and we're going to just jump back a little bit of that tonight with the S Corp and Brian. And our third podcast we did with our Melinda Royo. We really enjoyed her. She was awesome. And we also have an act of kindness that we did. So go and check that out. And today is our 4th podcast episode on tonight. So we are so excited. Are you excited, Brian?
I'm very excited.
Good to hear that. Yes. So again, the website is BC Productions EEE, and you can go and check out the previous episodes that we have done. We are so excited. This is the month of April. We want to give some shout outs to the birthday people of April. Yeah, so today was my daughter's birthday, so I'm giving Jayla a shout out.
Happy birthday.
Today. Happy birthday. She's 21 today.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for her.
Not only is she 21, I think she just made a major purchase in her life. Is that correct?
She sure did.
So she's out there. All I want to do is just a zoom, and a zoom.
That's it. Yes, she got her car.
Wow.
So she's excited. She said she wanted to get it for her birthday, and she did.
Wow. Did you? And you had something to do with that, did you not?
Of course, I always have something to do with it.
So what did you what did you do? You got to talk about that. I mean, did you like go out with her? Did you like?
Of course. So of course, I was a driver, so I actually took her around to look at cars and different things like that, and making sure that she didn't get taken advantage of.
Wow.
You know how they do us women, But I've learned some tricks of the trade. So.
Okay. So you also was instrumental, I understand, in like trying to get her financing set up in order. So you kind of went to the dealer with your papers intact in reference to making sure that you were getting the proper financing. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
You want to tell the listening audience a little bit about that?
Sure, why not? So, again, sometimes they feel like they could take advantage of us women, but I've learned a lot of different things. And so, we went in, we told them exactly what we were looking for, how much, and of course, they tried to pull a okey doke on us, but we knew exactly what we were looking for. We knew what we wanted. I'm sorry, she knew what she wanted. And I just backed her up with it. And you know what? We went through a credit union, so that was another great thing.
Wow.
So it was really, really cool, really good.
How was that experience? I mean, we are going to get into our meats and of the podcast today, but you need to educate individuals about that, because a lot of people have some money now due to the fact that the stimulus checks have come in.
Yes.
And individuals are going out there and spending money on getting some of the things, and your daughter just purchased a car. So was it painful, or was it not that painful?
I would say it was, and it wasn't. So I'll start with the was. It was a little painful because she was actually looking for specific what she wanted. She wanted a sunroof, and she wanted a screen. Or navigation system. She wanted all that in there, but she had a budget. And so everywhere we went, they were like, well, you're not going to be able to get that, with that type of budget. And, myself and my mom, we told her, we said, listen, don't, listen to what people tell you. You can find what you're looking for the price that you want. And of course we was like, pray about it, ask God to lead you and guide you where to go. And so that's exactly what, we did. We went around to different places. So it took time, but she was able to literally find what she was looking for. It was one place we went, and she sold the car for about $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, $10,000. And the guy was like, well, let's go with taxes in total. It's going to be about 15. And I said, hold up. How did it go from 10 to 15? And so he was like, oh, well, these fees and that fees. And I said, really? I said, well, let me just enlighten you. I said, I used to work for a police department, and I used to work in the detective bureau. I said, so I'm the type of person where I will call the state and find out if these are the fees and are these the prices that you're supposed to be charging me for. So he says, ma'am, I'll be right back. I said, okay, I'll be sitting here. And
wow.
so, yeah, so, it's a lot of craziness, so I would say that was the, the hard part, the aggravation part, getting through that. And, his manager came out, he was like, well, with totals and tax, we'll give it to you for $11,000. He said, you want to take the car today? I said, no. I said, we'll come back. And he said, are you sure? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, we'll come back. So, he was trying to push the car off. And so we was like, we're good. So in the meantime, my daughter, she was kept looking, and it didn't have a sunroof. So that was kind of, her apprehension of getting it that day too. Because I said, well, listen, you have time to look. I said, it's not like, you got the rush. And so she took her time, and she literally found what she was looking for.
Wow.
For a nice price. It was under $10,000.
So how long of a process was that?
The process,
from the time you started?
I would say maybe about 2 weeks, I guess.
Wow.
In all, going out several days, going back to the same place, because they kept saying, oh, we'll get cars in each day. And we couldn't go every day, because I work, she worked. So, but it was a process. It was a process.
So how did she feel when she finally got to put the keys in the ignition and drive off that lot?
Oh, she felt real good. And I felt good for her. It's a beautiful car. It's 2014, so it's not brand spanking new, but it's new to her. And it's really good. Really nice car.
Well, the reality is that when you go out there and you buy a car, you really have to go prepared.
Yes, you do.
I know that in the past, they look at individuals that are anxious. You have to go in there.
Yes, this is true.
With patience.
This is very true. The salesmen, they're pushy. And I'm like, no, we good. Hold up. This is what she want. And they try to push, stuff that she didn't want. And I'm like, guy, this is not what you want.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So they sometimes, I don't want to say all the times, but sometimes the dealer will actually try to get you to get things that are just not what you want. As you indicated, one of the things that I learned in my time with shopping with cars, because I had a car and it was involved in an accident, and we're kind of moving on a different wavelength, but we're going to get there. Don't worry about it. We're going to bring you back to the Escort. Was that you have to think and strongly consider the gap insurance.
Yeah,
we talked about the gap insurance. Did you actually put the gap insurance on the car?
Actually, we didn't really have to, as we actually went through the credit union. So
talk about that a little bit, please.
Sure. So I'm with credit union, and it's actually a very, very private credit union. So either you could do personal loans or car loans, and we did a personal loan because they're not doing car loans at the moment. So what it is you get the money from the credit union, and you actually pay it off with the dealer, or wherever you went, whether it's a buy here, pay here, wherever. But yeah, you give them the money to check however they want you to present the payment, and so you don't owe the dealership anything.
Wow.
You just owe your credit union, and you make the payments. However, if you do it bi-weekly, if you do it monthly, it's your choice. And it could be drafted out of your bank to their bank.
Wow.
And that's if you don't work there. If you work there, then they'll just strictly take it out of your paycheck. So that's the wonderful thing about having a credit union set up like that.
So with that being stated, it was kind of easier and less painful, meaning that sometimes when you go to the dealership, you got to wait for them to take your loan application. Yes. Go talk to the go talk to the finance manager. Yes. The finance manager has to put your credit out there into the universe. Mm-hmm. They have to search and try to find somebody that's willing to pick up your loan. And then they come back and they give you whatever interest rate they want to sell you at. Yes. With the credit union, from what you're saying, your interest rate was already determined.
Yes, it's already determined. You're paying. You talk to them, about how much you're getting, and your payments go by that as well. And also, because she's she's never had credit before.
Okay.
So that was the ultimate, awesomeness thing about it is, when you don't have credit, it's a little harder. They can get you something, but the interest rate is going to be high, and then they have to search, from bank to bank to find out who wants to pick you up. So thank God we ain't had to deal with that. Oh.
Well, I do want to ask that ultimate question, because our listening audience out there, how y'all doing out there in 4E podcast land?
Hello.
Did you have to co-sign?
Well, it depended on the amount that she wanted, how the credit union works.
Okay.
So with the amount that the car was and that she needed, I am the co-signer.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing to know.
Yes.
I think that it takes a lot of dedication, and you obviously love your daughter, in reference to going out and putting your name on another note. But what's the good thing is that now she can get to work. She doesn't have to borrow your car. Yep. Last week when I came here for our podcast, I was like, where is Shareen? Where's Lady Shareen? She's not here. Yes. But you were actually here. Your daughter actually has your car that day.
She had my car.
That was in between her getting her car and you going out shopping for a car. Yes. So if you really want to learn about how to do it, you really should kind of just take some of the tips that Lady Shareen gave you. Look at your credit union. Mm-hmm. If you have somebody that has some money that can loan you, it can help you with the deposit. If you're going to put a down payment, I'm actually considering purchasing another vehicle myself. And what I did is, because of my anxiousness. You went there, you were her subconscious. Yes. So you kind of help her get through the process of not just, what would have happened if she would have bought that car for $15,000. She would have been paying for that car for 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. There wasn't even a cost of it. So that's what got me. Like, this car's not costing this, and going in there knowing is the key, because they will definitely try to cheat you. They will try to cheat you. And, if you know the ins and outs, or, if someone taught you, then go in knowing, what you want, how much you want to pay, and, don't let them push you into what you don't want, because they will.
Yeah. When I went and I bought my truck, one of my commercial trucks, I actually took my brothers, and they're like on it. I mean, they don't want anything. They be like, what's this? What's that? Right. They be looking at all the I's, all the cross T's. And I'm like, I just want the truck. They're like, nope, we're not doing it. We will walk out of here. Sometimes you have to really, and it's not being harsh, it's just in life.
That's right.
Sometimes you have to walk away and go home and sleep on it.
That's right. Sometimes you do. It's so funny that you say that, because I went with my sister before she got the truck that she has, and she went, and I went with her, and by the time we were ready to go, because they actually sold what she came in there for.
Wow.
And I'm like, how do you, if you know she's coming in, how are you going to just sell the vehicle and say, the guy didn't know? And I'm like, that makes no sense. So, by the time we were done, my sister was like, well, I'll come back, I'll check the other one that you have out for me. And by the time we were walking out the door, he said, you know what? He was like, you come back, but leave her home. And he was referring to me, because I was drilling him. I'm like, no, that's not what she wants. And I'm like, this is what she wants at this amount, and they can do it if they want to.
What happened with me was that in like late November, I think it was late October, early November actually, I went to the dealership and they had all of these incentives.
Right, they'll do that too.
No, the incentives were like driven by Ford,
right,
driven by the dealership, and then driven by the fact that they wanted the owner wanted to get those trucks off. Okay. But it was like somewhere in the neighborhood of like $2,000 was the incentives to move that truck off the lot, because it was one of the leftover trucks. The 2000s and 21s hadn't come in yet, but they were coming. But because of COVID, everything was backed up. The supply chain, everybody knows what the supply chain is. Like you want to go to the supermarket, you want to get a spice. Like my wife wanted to get a certain spice, and she couldn't find it. Everywhere she looked, she just couldn't find it because they just stopped, the manufacturer stopped getting it out to the public. So that's what happened with the cars or the truck I was looking at. So in December, when I went back to look at doing the truck, actually what happened, back up a little bit. In September, I went to the dealership and he says, well, we don't have a big supply because everything was backed up, and it's still backed up to this day. So what he did is say, why don't we just order you a truck? I said, okay, let's do that. So I ordered a truck.
Order a truck.
Yeah, I told him what I wanted, and
Okay.
he says, okay, the truck should be in within the next 2 to 3 months. So when the truck was coming in, the incentive program was running. It was like a 90-day incentive program. But by the time the truck came in, the incentives from the manufacturer stopped. The incentives that they had, it was like I think it was a $2,000 incentive. 15 of the $2,000 incentive just dropped out of it, right? And then the dealer was like, he was taking back his $500 that they were offering. I said, okay, this is ridiculous. So you mean tell me that truck that I was going to get $2,000 or $2,500 off rather, now those incentives were gone. I said, well, you know, and my truck that I was looking at was not an inexpensive truck. It wasn't the ice truck, or what they call D-Nice, the DJ that they advertised. It wasn't that truck. That truck cost like $72,000.
That's a nice truck, though.
$72,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's like an 8-year, 10-year car payment. You might as well be living in that truck.
You're right. You know what I actually found out though?
No, talk to me.
With, helping her look for a car. I found out, like, I guess their little game that they play. So, I kept asking them, I said, okay, how much is the car?
Right.
How much is the car going to be with the taxes, registration? And they like really couldn't give me an answer. So if you go in there and say, how much is this car or truck or whatever?
Wow.
Because in their mind, the first thing they're thinking is a loan, finance. They'll ask you for at least 2, but the first thing they'll do is, we got to run your credit. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to run my credit. I just want to know how much is this vehicle. And I got so many like back and forths. They literally could not tell me how much the car was.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, wow. So that's like part of the game that they play, so that they can find a bank, and they want to find out how much they can qualify you for. But I wanted to know, how much is the car? Like, I want to do that last.
Wow.
Tell me how much is this car?
Right. Just give me the tissue value of what it's going to cost me to go out the door with this car.
Yes.
They couldn't tell you.
They could not tell me.
They couldn't tell you, or they didn't want to tell you?
They didn't want to tell me. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
Yeah. My mom was with me, and she was like, wow, this is crazy. He kept getting up. And I'm like, why is it so hard for you to tell me how much this car is?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think that car shopping is, you have to really just go with patience. You have to go with patience. You can't be eager, because if you are, they're going to sense that. And then the kill is on.
The kill is definitely on. They're going to put you in something that you cannot afford, and that you don't even like it.
So you went from a $10,000 vehicle to a $15,000 vehicle?
Yeah, that's what he was trying to do, because my daughter saw it for $9,995. And so I said, okay, how much is the car? So he was coming, every time I asked a question, he would get up and he would go to his manager. And then I said, okay. I said, he said, we gotta run her credit. And I'm like, no, you don't. First of all, I wanna know how much this car is. Before you run anything, tell me how much you're telling the bank that you want to put this car through for. They could not tell me.
Yeah.
He would not tell me the price of the car.
Wow.
No, he would not. Until, I said to him, I said, okay. I said, I'm going to call to find out. I said, I'll call DMV and I'll call the state to see if these are the fees and how much these fees are supposed to be.
One of the things that always shocks me is, like, if I have a vehicle and I'm getting rid of that vehicle, I want to take the plates off that old vehicle and put it onto my new vehicle.
You just want that new tech.
No. It's not that. Most of the times they're gonna say, "Oh no, let us go and get the vehicle registered. Let us get the plates. Let us do all of those things." And I'm like, but that's gonna cost me like $575. They charge you a lot of money for that.
They do.
Because they're not doing it for free.
You don't have to do it though.
You don't have to do it.
You don't have to do it.
Did she actually have plates from an old car?
She did, but the guy who, where we went, he was like, you can do either or, you know.
So what did you decide to do?
She decided to get temporary.
Okay.
Actually, no. Let me back up. I'm sorry.
This is the 4E podcast, so we are educating, right? This is part of the educational part. Go ahead, Lady Shareen.
Let me back up a little bit. The car that she had was in my name, so that's why we changed it over so that the registration would be in her name. So that's why we did it. Because the guy did say that she can use the plates that she has on there, but then when we realized that it's in my name, so we wanted to switch it in hers. So that's why we did the new registration.
But you really have to look at that because there is added fees on when they're going out and they're getting your plates, your registering the car and doing all of that for you. So we didn't even plan to end to begin here, but I think that inside of our podcast, that's the unique thing about podcasting, especially when we bring it to you with video, because a lot of podcasts out there are only doing audio. We're doing the audio podcast because we just believe that in our over a year history of doing research, that we wanted to go this way.
Yeah, it was over a year. But of course, again, due to COVID, we kind of said, let's wait, let's see how things pan out. Let's, wait. We really want to have people, that interaction with people, but we understand that, we can't really do that. So, we are going to still do Zoom and have people come in, like family members, that we've been around, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been over a year, but we're here now.
Yeah, we're here. And we're here now. But not only are we here, this is 30 days. We have 4 podcasts up. You talked about that earlier, but we also have another, not an episode, we're not calling it an episode, but we had a random act of kindness. And last week, with Lady Shareen, with your help, we actually videotaped us giving away a trumpet.
Yeah, we did. And the young man, he's from Plainfield High School, am I correct?
Correct.
Plainfield High School, and he plays the trumpet.
And he plays the trumpet.
He loved it.
And the thing that I understand is if you have music as your elective during the pandemic, the schools asked for the students to return all of their instruments.
Oh, wow.
So if you were playing the trumpet and you wanted to practice,
you could.
You had to practice, I think, air trump. Wow. You had to practice with your fingers and imagination.
Oh, wow. We have a witness in here that he's shaking his head going, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so a lot of the students that are aspiring to do things, and I think an elective still counts as credits, so that was kind of interesting that they pulled those instruments back from the students, because I guess I don't know what the answer is, but the reality is we're here, we're doing our thing, and we're glad to know that the listening audience is out there participating and hearing us and seeing us. We are working on a lot of avenues in reference to putting our social media campaign together. Right now, as we are talking, if you go to Lady Shareen, you want to tell them where they can go to and find us right now, because we're live.
Sure. So we're live on Facebook. And then you can go to our website. That's not live, but you can go to our website and check out what we have there. And it is, 3 episodes we have there so far?
3 episodes. This is the 4th.
Yes, this is the 4th. So it is bcproductionsEEE.com.
Right. And you can catch us later on. This will be posted. But right now we're on Shareen's Facebook page. And what is that Facebook page, Lady Shareen?
It is Shareen Pitt. And it's also, I tagged Brian, so it's actually on Brian's page too. It's Brian Cox.
So go up there and show us some love, send some hearts. We are working, some likes, some shares.
And you know what? Send us some comments too. Like we want to know, what you guys think. We want to know, what we look like. So, be honest with us. I listen, I love honesty.
Yeah.
I love transparency. So be honest. Let us know.
In addition to that, our assistant is working feverishly in the background
Yes,
to make
he
sure that he can
is.
set us up on other mediums. I think
Yes.
Instagram.
And we'll be on Instagram, YouTube, have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
I believe Twitter. So all that is coming.
And in addition to that, there are links inside of our podcast, which we are going to be sending out real soon, so that you can go to both Shareen's website and my website for the BC landscaping, and for her, for Shareen, your
Yes.
photography and videography.
Yes.
Yeah, so we want you to definitely just continue to plug in, continue to show us love, and continue to know that we are in the very near future also going to be setting up opportunities for, if you want to donate towards our podcast, we will be able to accept Cash App. We're looking at Cash App. We're looking at, what's the other? Zelle, Apple Pay, all of those things that are out there, so that we can basically continue to do this, because all of these things that you see going on right now, all of these things cost money, cost time, and cost energy. And those things are basically being done right now because we're doing it because we know that we have a product that individuals are going to want to watch and be a part of. We have a lot of guests that are the groundswell is starting to happen, meaning that people are going to be coming on our podcast and asking to share their stories and their likes and what they do for a living with us and the larger audience of you out there. So we actually came on tonight to talk about finishing up another segment that we didn't actually get to finish because we talked so much and it was so dear to both of us. We were talking about going on to the Escort and talking about why you should look at doing that. So let us just retract for a little bit, go backwards. Lady Shareen, talk about your LLC again, and then I'll chime in and tell the individual listening audience what actually happened with me.
Sure. So actually, I can step back a little further. I started out as a sole proprietor.
Okay.
It was really short lived. It wasn't that long. But I was selling like perfumes and different things like that. I did get orders, but so it was just so much other stuff going on. So I kind of, did away with that. But after graduating from Montclair State University and saying, I need to start my business, actually it was after I finished with NBC. And I said, you know what? I was literally working like between 60 and 80 hours like every single week for like about 5 to 6 months. And I said, you know what? I need to start my own, not to work long. I mean, you work long having your own business, but that was really, really over the top. Between 60 and 80 hours a week. That's not every 2 weeks, every single week.
Wow.
That's a lot of hours. So that's when I decided to start it. So when I went to get everything formulated, they had suggested I do an LLC. So I started the LLC under Purple Sky Productions and did a doing business as, which they call it a DBA, which for Shareen Malika Photography.
Wow. And you had some help with that.
Yeah, I did. I went through, the SBDC, I believe, if I'm saying it correctly. They help you, and they work out of Keene University. So they help you from beginning to end of how to formulate that business. So every step that you need, you can go to them and they help you for free. The only thing you pay for is the actual formulation of the business, which I believe was $125.
Right, but inside of that, there are some coursework, I think, that they talk about, and they actually have seminars. Did you go to any of the seminars?
I didn't go to the seminars until afterwards. And the seminars, they're like actually for you. It's not so much that you have to take these classes or webinars, but they're for you to, if they're like how to start a business or how to pay your taxes, stuff like that. They're beneficial for you. So they have a website. Actually, you could go through the Small Business Association. You can go there, and they'll have all the information there. And there's also another one called Score.
Wow.
That I went through.
Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So Score, it's a website, and it's actually, I believe it's score.gov, I believe. But if you put it in Google and search it, it'll come up. So it's very, very beneficial for anybody who is in business, whether you just started, whether you're, a middle-sized business, or, if you a business that's been in business for a very long time and you've never heard of them. Score is very good because what they do is they will mentor you. They're mentors, and it's all for free. They have webinars. Wow. Yeah, they have webinars, they have classes, and before COVID, I was actually going, to the seminars and the webinars, which I love because I love meeting other business owners and, anybody in those different fields. And so sometimes there would be lunches there. You were able, actually they had networking. That's what I love. They had networking sessions at their webinars and stuff like that. So Score, it's very, very, very good. They can help you, whatever you need, whatever you want, they will help you from the beginning, until the end. They'll definitely help you.
Well, I didn't have an opportunity to share this story. So I'm going to share this story for my cameraman, my controller. There you go. All right. He actually on Facebook. You've seen me doing some signaling because we're working with our cameraman and our light protect. So he's going to get some attention from Lady Shareen real quick and give her the message that I just gave him. So you're going to use your hand movement, and we're going to do that. This is live, so this is what I love about it. But real quick, back in the day when I left my former employer, I had the opportunity to actually go through the Small Business Association. And what was the crazy thing then, which isn't really crazy, it's just the way that it was structured, is that I was collecting unemployment. So what the Small Business Association stated was that you can collect unemployment, take these classes, and get your full 100% unemployment while you take these classes, and we will not jeopardize taking any money from you. But here's the contingent, that if you took that as a case, because this was like a 12-week or maybe been a 16-week course that they offered, you basically would be saying to them that you are not going to come back and reapply for the extension on the unemployment. So I said, so if I go out and I do this and I decide to go through the coursework, then what's going to happen is that I'm going to be limiting myself from collecting unemployment at that time, I think it was 6 months. And I said, and I was probably at the 3rd month of my unemployment when this came to my attention. So that means I would only have been able to collect for another 3 months. But to make a long story short, before my unemployment ran out, I was like, I ain't doing unemployment. I don't care. I got a plan, and I'm going to make money. And whatever little bit of money I was making from unemployment, when I went in on my plan just super, super duper, like, I made more money doing my independent thing. Wow. And it's like, well, you can go after partial. I'm like, I don't want to go after partial, because if I go after partial and then I make more money, then you're going to tell me that I owe money, then you're going to be like taking it back from me. And I'm like, I'm not doing all of that. I said, I'm going to just jump in, and this is what we talked about in previous episodes about you just having the will and desire to just know that you're going to be able to survive. Because Lady Shareen, you were in a similar situation. You left working on a set, and yet you still had to go out there and make money.
Yeah, definitely. They did not. They didn't. What's the word I'm looking for? They didn't renew. They didn't renew the show. Wow. So we did one season. And yeah, so we got laid off from that. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start it. I mean, if I can work all those hours for somebody else,
80 hours?
Yeah, it was a lot. It's between 60 and 80, literally.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours. And like I said, that was a week. It was not.
Did you get paid like triple time and a half? Or was it straight time plus they gave you some bonus money at the end? Or was it just basically you here and we're going to get this film made and we need your help?
No, actually, it was like a regular job to where you did the 8 hours.
Okay.
Which was your normal pay.
Okay.
And then you would get either time and a half or double time if it was certain days.
Wow.
Yeah. So the money was decent. I mean, it's a lot of work working on set. So
yeah, but what I understand from people,
it's
been a long time since I've worked for anybody, so I kind of, don't remember what that looks like. But from what I understand, a lot of people that tell me that they work that overtime and that time and a half, it looks good when you mathematically put it in your head, but when you open up that check, Uncle Sam be right there.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? To me, it wasn't. I guess because I had my kids.
Okay.
So they didn't hit me too bad.
Okay.
At that time. So yeah, I mean, it was still good.
Okay.
No, it was still good. It was just long hours.
So let's go into what we actually came here to talk about. And we're going to probably bounce off of this, but for right now, we're going to talk about you actually had spoke about you being an LLC and that you had a lot of help from the SBA. And what was the other?
I believe it's the SBDC, I believe it's called.
And where are they located?
They worked out of Keene University. And if I'm wrong, I will post the right information.
But I'm telling you that she actually has attended those courses. I actually attended the courses. Well, the one thing about me, though, is I just, quite frankly, when they had some of the presenters coming in, and I knew a lot because I just been in business for a while, I could answer some of the questions before they were even asked. They were like, how do you know so much? I'm like, yeah, maybe I should be up there teaching. They said, well, we might consider you to come up here and teach. But I just said, nah, this is another obligation. But inside of the LLC, why people go from a individual sole proprietor to LLCs because it gives you certain protections.
Yes, it protects you. If something happened and someone come after you, sue you, they're not. When you go from a sole proprietor to an LLC, it protects you from your own property, from your own, like your own assets.
Yes.
Per se. Yeah, when you do sole proprietor, you are responsible for everything.
That's right. They can come after your house.
They come after everything.
Your car.
Yeah.
Your equipment.
Everything.
Yeah. So, and that's not to say that if we don't ever recommend that anything happens to you. We don't ever encourage that. But things can happen.
Yes,
things that are beyond your control. You could be on a set and the bulb blows up and it shatters and it gets on somebody and it cuts them.
Yeah, this is true.
They might come after you.
Yeah.
So when you go with the LLC, that limits your liability for being sued.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And it's very important, to know the difference between each entity.
Yeah. So what happened with me was that I have an accountant, and I strongly recommend, listen, my audience, if I recommend nothing else, this is one of the things I strongly recommend, is after you formulate your business, get you a good accountant. What do you think, Lady Shareen?
I think that is true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Because with all that being stated, when you formulate your business, and we are encouraging you out there,
yes,
who are listening to us, to think about becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes.
It is nothing more self-rewarding. But with that, you have to know that when you're doing your entrepreneurship, whether it's a sole proprietor, LLC, a S Corp, which I'll talk about in a minute, you need to make sure that you do the things that are required of you.
This is true. Because, you don't want to get in a situation where, the IRS or, another company can come after you for the things that you worked hard for.
Right. So that means that you have quarterly reports.
You have quarterly tax reports. You do.
Yeah. I got to file reports with the state and the federal government. Yes. Do you have employees? You do. Oh, you have employees now that you have started your business. Yes. You have to file quarterly reports.
Yes. You know, you actually have to do an annual report too.
Oh, lady,
actually just did mine. I actually forgot. I mean, I knew it was in March, but I totally forgot. So when his came today, and I was like, oh shoot, mine. So when I went, I looked, and it was where, you know, I normally put my mail. Okay. And so I did my annual report today. Which right. It's a little late, but
yeah. And the annual report isn't nothing sophisticated, right, but it just wants the state wants to know that you're still doing business.
Business, yes.
So, and you have to file your annual report.
Yes, and they want that money.
Right, right. And then if you're in a business like me, you got to file your taxes, whether it be sales taxes, whether it be I think it's the 921s. You got to file those. You got to make sure that you put those reports up. Now, I'm gonna tell you real quickly a short story, and it's gonna begin like this, and it's gonna end like this. Get somebody else to do your report. Don't think that when you're in business that you're gonna be able to do all those reports, because sooner or later you're gonna miss a report, because you're just going to become so overwhelmed. And especially when your business starts to blossom and bloom. We're in spring, you're starting to see a lot of the flowers come out, you're starting to see a lot of the bees. I was actually in the studio and I see a bee outside the window. I was like, wow, it's kind of cold, but the bees are out now. So I'm telling you that you have to look at having a third party take care of your book. And I'm not talking about you have to hire a bookkeeper. When you get sophisticated enough, you get big enough, you might need to hire a bookkeeper. But you got to have a good accountant.
Got to have a good accountant.
In addition to having a good accountant, you got to have a company. Now, I'm going to tell you who I use. I'm not telling you, and this is not, they're not paying me for this. This is just something I'm just telling you it works. I use QuickBooks.
Yes, he does use QuickBooks.
And Lady Shareen worked inside of QuickBooks.
Yes.
When she worked in my office. She actually she learned how to do QuickBooks. So when she blows up and she becomes as prominent as she is going to be, because she will prosper, she will be probably using QuickBooks. And the reason I like QuickBooks is because it gives you your reports. They file your 941s. They file they file all of your other quarterly and state reports that have to be filed. They also allow you to make your payments when you give them the, what do you call it? You sign off giving them authorization to do it. They can also send your payments to the state and to the federal government. If you don't do that and you think that you're going to be in tune with doing it, right, you can do it. Yeah. Believe me, you can do it. Okay. But when it comes to doing all of those reports and then knowing what reports to file, sometimes it's better just to have a third party that sits in that position of power, yeah, that they do that for a living, to do it for you, because then it makes your life so much easier, and you're not worried getting mixed up between the fifth when you got to do your employee payment,
yeah,
the 15th.
Too, don't they?
Yeah, they do payroll too. When you do the 15th, you got to file. The 15th, there's certain reports that got to be done. And then on the 20th, there's other reports that got to be done. You're going to be like, all these reports, I can't keep up with all of them. Get somebody else, yeah, that will be in tune with what the state requirements are. And QuickBooks is international. I know they're at least national. So they will definitely be in tune with what state you're in regards to what forms you have to fill. But moving right along. Why did I go from an LLC
to an S Corp?
I gotta ask Lady Shareen to ask me that question.
Yeah.
You gonna ask?
Yeah.
Okay.
So why, and what was the reason why you went from an LLC to an S Corp?
Well, several things that my accountant told me. See, again, accountant, going back to the word, having a reliable person that is in your corner. He said, with the money that you're making today, it behooves you not to go to an S Corp, because with the S Corp, it just gives you certain freedoms that the LLC doesn't give you. It doesn't make you less responsible as an LLC. It just gives you a different way of filing.
Okay. I'm not there yet, so.
You're going to be there. And when you file differently, there's certain advantages to the S Corp. Now, you got to do projected earnings, and you got to file those quarterly. As with an LLC, you may not do it that way. But in addition to that, it just gives you better ability to write things off. Okay. You know, and it allows you to bring those write-offs back into your personal earnings and then deduct some of those things. So it's just a better way financially of positioning yourself. Some of the richer people understand that because they use S Corps all the time. Okay. They don't use LLCs.
That's very, very interesting.
You know?
I mean, does it help with, you know, I mean, I know you're talking about the finance part, but does it go back to how many employees you have to have?
No.
You know, does it have anything to do with like partnering with people or anything like that?
It has. You could partnership in an S Corp. You can partnership in an LLC. You can't partnership in a sole proprietor. Right. So, but you can definitely partnership in any of those two settings. And the reason that you do it just is for better opportunity for tax breaks and tax incentives. So that's why you go to an S Corp. And you can Google it, and it'll definitely show you some of the benefits of being an S Corp versus being an LLC. But I strongly recommend, as you move along the spectrum of growing your business, that you definitely move out of being a sole proprietor, unless you're just going to be, you know, this is my business. I'm baking cookies for a living, and I'm not bringing nobody else in, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to grow but so much, and I'm just going to put it in my community bakery or whatever.
So when do you think, you know, for people that are listening, when do you say that it's good to actually move from an LLC to an S Corp? You know, like
when you start making a lot more money.
Okay.
When you start making a lot more money, and you want to limit your financial, you want to have your finances looked at differently from the federal government. Okay. And you want to look at not necessarily tax breaks, but there are a lot more incentives for being an S Corp than being a LLC. I read something today, and I'm going to have to do some more research, because it kind of, let me just say, it took me back. In the LLC, it said in this written word that you really don't have to take a salary. But I don't believe that's true, because I've got other experiences that says that when you're an LLC, you have to take a salary. Okay. You know,
I think I read that too, actually.
You read that?
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
That you don't have to take a salary.
No, that you should take a salary.
No, it's not even the IRS will tell you.
Have to. Okay.
No, I'm saying what you said, that you read somewhere that you're supposed to take a salary as an LLC. Yes. But I'm telling you, in the passage that I read in the last couple of days, it says that as a LLC you don't. But I'm almost certain you have to take a salary as an S Corp, because that is how your workers' comp, that's how your insurance policies are written, that you take a mandatory minimum salary. Now, if you want to inflate that salary and make more money, take more money in a payroll, you can do that. But as an LLC, here we go. There you go. That's another thing. As an LLC, you can sell shares.
Yes.
You can sell stocks.
Yes.
To your business as an S Corp.
S Corp or LLC?
As an S Corp.
Oh, okay. As an S Corp.
As a LLC, you can't share. And thank you for correcting me. You can't sell stocks. You can sell pieces of the business, but it's not in the form of a share. Right. So if I wanted to take my LLC S Corp and put it out there and tell people that I'm selling stocks, I can do that.
That's
or
great.
Selling shares.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, just want to be clear. So is it called an LLC S Corp, or is it just an S Corp?
You know, there is so much vagueness to that.
Okay.
Because S Corp is an S Corp. However, most LLCs move from LLC to S Corp.
Okay, gotcha.
See, and my company still is BC Landscaping LLC.
Okay.
But for financial purposes, I'm an S Corp.
Awesome. Now, what steps do you have to take when you want to move from an LLC to an Escort?
Well, you have to write certain things in to you have to have bylaws.
Okay.
You have to do meetings. You have to document those meetings that you have as an S Corp. Because obviously, if you have shareholders, they're going to want to know what you're doing in the boardroom.
Absolutely.
They're going to want to know what you're doing in the back room. You know, when you're meeting and you're
Right.
discussing the future of your business. So you have to do certain reporting that you are not required to do in an LLC. So that's
Okay.
that. So
Okay.
there's three things I brought to your attention. You have to document your annual meetings or quarterly meetings.
Okay.
You have to definitely declare yourself, and then you have to have certain bylaws and things that you don't necessarily have to have in an LLC that just sets you apart from being an LLC.
Okay.
So the S Corp is really for when you're trying to move your business to another level. That's what it's all about.
Now, who are these meetings with?
The meetings are with whoever you have on your board or whoever you have in your company. You know, you just got to document that you have meetings, going on. So when I had an audit, they basically said, "Did you have a meeting?" Yes. Was it documented? Yes. What day did it take place? This such and such date. And that was it. That's all they asked for, because they know as an S Corp that is the requirement.
Okay.
So,
Requirements,
you have to do that. So with that being stated, the S Corp has been very good to me. My accountant takes care of a lot of my paperwork. When actually COVID hit, a lot of the things that I had done in my business, because I was an LLC, and that was the primary thing, but because I also was an S Corp, it entitled me to reap some of the benefits that they gave out last year.
PPP. So
Oh.
how was that for you and the steps, for your business?
I'm going to say it was phenomenal for my business. And the reason it was phenomenal is because last year, for the most part, because I did the right things, and this is the benefit of doing the right thing as opposed to just being in business, just to be in business, is that I had documented payroll. I had documented expenses. I had documented things that I could actually send to the federal government and say, I qualify for some of this money.
Yes, that
So
was very important.
last year, it enabled me to not suffer and struggle, because if you talk to any small business, one of the things that they struggle with when they have employees is making that payroll.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, but for me,
Yes.
doing the PPP and as a first-time borrower for that,
Yes.
it was different because I actually learned a lot.
Okay.
What I need to go do going forward.
Okay.
So like you mentioned, with no employees, you have to show, that you were in business of last year.
Okay.
What was it, February 15th? So, because I don't have payroll, I had to send in different type of information. I had to send in my personal income tax. At that time, I didn't have a business bank account set up. So I had to literally show them like an invoice or something that I was in business.
But you also had the other opportunity because you have a facility that you rent.
Yes.
So under COVID, that facility was adversely affected because you probably couldn't bring the people into your establishment that you
Yes.
once had brought into your establishment. So that was a benefit, right?
Yeah, that was a benefit. With the PPP. What else was it?
Wow, that's a whole nother subject. We just went to PPE,
know,
but the
but-
reality, Lady
Yeah.
Shareen, you right.
Yeah, because you was talking about your benefits, and
You're right.
I know that was one of the benefits for business was the PPP, what was it? The Economic Injury
Disaster fund.
loan
Yeah.
and grant.
Yeah.
So it was two separate things, and then it was the PPP second draw.
Right.
So, these are all the things that you were entitled to because of COVID.
Right. I mean, and they actually gave 2 loans, like you said. They gave a first draw, which most businesses got somewhere between like $2,000 to $10,000. I mean, if you was a bigger business, you probably got more, but you got that. And then they also had the other one, which was based on your salary. So that was very instrumental to helping me last year because, you had to show this is I think the third draw now, that you had a decrease in one of your quarters.
Yes.
One of your quarters.
Yes.
Not 3 quarters, not 4 quarters, but one of your quarters.
This was for the second draw.
Yeah. So I actually applied for that, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them on that. But being in business, the essence of what we're talking about is when you're in business, do the right thing and document and do the things that you need to do so that if we ever come into another situation, we hope we never come into another situation like this, because this has been just, nobody could have predicted that that you would be waiting in line for 15 or 20 minutes to get into a store. Nobody could have predicted that you would have had to wear
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That was short.
Yeah.
We waited in long lines than 15, 20 minutes.
Nobody,
but I get you. I know what you're saying.
Nobody could have predicted that they would have had to have put so much money into so many individuals that live in this country to help them keep their business afloat.
Yeah, that's true.
And the sad story about all of this is that there's a lot of businesses that didn't make it.
That's very, very true.
I'm glad you made it, Lady Shareen.
I am too.
And I'm glad I made it because, I actually probably can say that COVID did not really hurt my business that much because I didn't have to go into people's houses. Well, I know carpenters and plumbers and tile setters and all the rest of those individuals that go out there and had to go into people's houses. Excuse me. Those individuals, I had to give you a short story. I had a cable guy come by my house. And I was like, yo, I had this guy working on my house, man, and he cut my cable wire. And I'm like, I ain't got no cable. I'm like, and it wasn't just a cable wire, it was the wire that goes to the router. Wow. So he cut it. He's like, I don't know what happened. I was like, I know what happened. You cut it. Wow. I think they made a record about that. Your price too high, you better cut it. So he cut my cable wire. I called a cable company in, and I said, yo, I need you to do this. He's like, I can't come in your house. I said, I don't want you to come in the house. Just listen, you drill a hole through the wall, you send that wire through here, you connect it to that box outside, and I'll run the wire to the TV. You know how to do that? I said, yeah. I said, you send me a long enough wire, right? I'll run it through the front door. You put the coax cable or whatever end on it, and I'll run it back in the house. You pull it back through the wire, and then you cut it. And he says, that's pretty smart. I didn't even know about that. I said, yeah, well, I want my cable. We can't be without cable during COVID.
No, not at all. You need something to keep you occupied.
That's like gasoline without a car without gasoline.
Shut down with no cable. Wow. It's rough. I mean, I'm sure it happened, to people. It's rough, but.
I mean, that's like being here on our podcast and not having no internet.
Well.
It just don't.
You just record it and put it up there later. But I understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that there's certain things that you just get so accustomed to.
True.
Can you imagine you went home and you turned on your water and there was no water coming out the thing? You go in the house and there's no electricity, not because you didn't pay the bill, but because something happened in the universe that caused the electricity to get shut off.
No, it's annoying. Listen, we went through Sandy like that, so
yeah.
I understand.
Sandy.
Oh my God.
Man.
Yeah.
Sandy?
Yeah,
I think there's a book out there, right? There's a book out there, right? Yeah, you didn't think I was going to talk about your book? Yeah, this is about self-promotion. Yeah, she has a book out there, and she talks about Sandy. She talked about the storm and about how she lost her electricity. But listen, the reality is this. We want y'all to know that we don't know everything. But what we do know is what we know.
Yes.
And what we know is a lot of our experiences are because we are in business. And just like this podcast, Lady Shareen and I are talking about it every single day. How are we going to best formulate this? Right now, we're doing it because we love it. But when it takes off, we're going to have to take this to the next level. Absolutely. Are we going to do a partnership? Are we going to do an LLC partnership? Or are we going to do an S Corp partnership? You know, what are going to be the splits? Are we going to have a board of directors? Are we going to have a board of trustees? Are we going to have a persons in the background that can just guide us and direct us and help us? Are we going to go after through SCORE or whatever, getting individuals to mentor us and mold us? Yeah. So these are the kinds of things that we got to think about, and these are the kinds of things that we want you to think about. Because going into business, again, there is no more self-rewarding opportunity out there than for you to go out there and become an entrepreneur.
Yes, this is true. So, I mean, it's not easy, but it is rewarding. And it depends on what type of business you're in. When you're dealing with people, when you're serving people, it's definitely rewarding. At the end of the day, if you made people happy, it makes you happy because you made someone else happy.
Yeah. And Lady Shareen, I neglected to bring you the juice that I promised you. But
I didn't get my juice yet.
But it's coming. And actually, if you want to stop by this evening when we get off the podcast, I'll make sure that I can give both of y'all a sample, because my daughter was here the other day and she went out and she bought some cups.
Okay,
cups with caps on them. And my wife has now decided that she is going to start selling her juice.
Get out of here, really?
I
love
think
to hear that. She told me no, but so I'm happy that
you know how long
You
know how long I've been telling her to sell this juice? But
wow.
what I'm saying to you is because our son-in-law actually opened up a business where he's actually got a vending machine.
Oh,
and he has his vending machine in his mother's salon. I think they're in the Bronx. It might be Brooklyn. They're in the Bronx, I think. Yeah. So the crazy thing is that all around her, people are formulating businesses.
I love it. Get that juice out there.
Isn't that what we told Belinda? You got to do this.
That's it. We did tell her that.
We told her that you got to take that entrepreneurship spirit that you have and master it and utilize that to your benefit.
Yeah.
So we're talking to you guys out there in the 4E podcast land. You guys got to think about it and try to find something.
Yeah.
And if you find something that you love to do, you'll never work another day in your life.
This is true.
They call that a passion.
Yeah, your passion. You'll do it. And, again, you're helping, servicing people, making them happy and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
All right, then.
Yes.
Lady Shareen, I guess that kind of concludes what we need to talk about. We got our Escort in there. We got about buying cars in there. We got about going into business. We talked about the LLC. We recapped on the sole proprietorship. So the thing that we want y'all to know is that our podcast is live. We are actually on Facebook Live right now.
Yes, we are. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know who's on. Maybe next time we'll have Donnie tell us who's on to say hi to say hi and shout you out.
He's actually saying something. So let him say what he's saying in the background. What you say?
They want to know what kind of juice is it.
What kind of juice is it? Oh, it's iced tea. Man, it's lemonade. It's a red juice. It's Caribbean. It's Caribbean. Listen, the bottom line is that the juice is off the hook. You taste it, I'm telling you, you're gonna be hooked. Now, if you on a diet, I'm gonna be real frank with you. If you on a diet, don't touch that juice, because all I want to do is just a zoom, man, a zoom.
Sound like
That juice will take you there. But it's really good. Everybody that has ever tasted her juice, and I pushed it all the time. I'm surprised I never had Lady Shareen taste it. They always tell me what is in this juice. This is like super juice on steroids.
Super juice.
Yeah, I have to back off of it so much because it's so good. But I think that really kind of concludes. Lady Shareen, I think you should take us out. You brought us in. Just telling them what we got going on next week. And Lady Shareen is going to put that up for you guys. I'm pretty sure she's going to tell you who our next guest is, or she may not tell you by name, but she'll just give you a little information about who that individual is. But he's coming next week. He guaranteed that he's going to be here for at least an hour. And if we go over, he is not going to be hating because he just loves to do these kinds of things. So go ahead, Lady Shareen, take us out.
So we have an old professor of mine. He helped me with my book, and he's an awesome guy. So he's going to come on next week. And again, what I'll do is going forward, I'll have Donnie kind of let us know who's on because I have no idea. But we thank you for watching, for commenting, for your contribution. Thank you so much for that. And so yes, join in next week. We're going to be with him. He's an awesome guy. He's also an author himself. And so hopefully you enjoy, what we're bringing to the table that you guys can come and enjoy. And, some of you guys, hopefully you can come in or Zoom. When I say come in, it's meaning Zoom. I know family members, they don't mind, we've been together for a while. But yeah, we'll get you in on Zoom. And we just want to have fun. We just want to, enjoy you guys' company.
What is our new time? Tell the public what our new time is actually.
5 o'clock. We first said 4, but we're going to do 5. We think 5 work a little better than the 4 o'clock. And you know what? Let us know if that works for you guys. Let us know. Please be interactive with us. Right. And I promise, going forward, we'll be interactive with you as well. And we'll find out who's on so we can give you a shout out.
Can I just put a challenge out there to the listening public? We're doing this one time a week right now.
Yes.
We want to actually increase this to when we could possibly do it twice a week.
Okay.
But we're going to need some financial support. We're going to need some help with that, Lady Shareen.
Okay.
So as we build our capacity, we're going to ask for you guys to help by making some donations. We will be putting that up. I guarantee you by next week, Donnie, next week we're going to have our hashtag, we're going to have our Cash App and all the rest of those things set up.
Cash App's already set up.
Okay, we're going to have what else?
Facebook and Instagram's already set up. Twitter's going to be set up.
Go guys.
Okay.
YouTube's going to be set up.
YouTube. So listen, we have a dynamic young gentleman in the background. He just was talking to you. You might not have heard him on our mics if you're listening to us on our Wix page. But I'm pretty sure the Facebook people heard him in the background because he was coming right off of the phone. But we are going to definitely be looking to move this. We want you, we need you to come forward.
Absolutely.
And bring whatever content you wish to offer to our podcast. We will promote you, we will encourage you, and we will expose you to the audience that is already on. So with all that being stated, Lady Shareen, close us out.
All right. So again, thank you for watching us. Thank you for any contributions, your comments, your likes, your shares. And we just tell you to come back again next week, 5 o'clock, and we have a special guest with us. Sometimes we may have 2 special guests, we may have 3, depending upon the content that we want to do. So, just let us know again how we're doing. Comment, like, share, and we'll be in touch with you to bring you on our podcast. So we want to say good night, everybody, and thank you for watching.